We will be needing blocks today, 1 or 2 blocks, your pick. Get some water, some comfy clothes on, and perhaps a blanket if you find yourself getting really fatigued in the knees. So I will let you take a moment to gather those things, should you desire them. Don't necessarily need blocks, but they will help with some of the balance poses later on. We're going to do a more energetic flow today, just kind of get the blood moving. And then we're going to spend some time finding the right kind of positioning and just sitting with some of the balance intensive poses. So hold on a moment, I'm going to close the door, but we're going to begin on our backs in Supta Baddha Konasana. So the soles of our feet are together, and we're lying down, and we're just starting to notice the way that gravity gently opens our hips up, the way our feet gently press together. Our shoulders are a little bit tucked back, and we're just beginning to notice the edges of our body, beginning to notice our breath, beginning to notice the sensations of the floor. I want you to close your eyes while I read this little meditation snippet from Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese monk. We can see and act with clarity when we know how to release the tension and pain in our body. With mindful breathing, body and mind come together. We're established in here and now and can more easily handle the situations in our lives. Mindful breathing brings well-being. In one breath, we can recognize and release the tension within us. Breathing in, I am aware of my whole body. Breathing out, I release all the tension in my body. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Inhale, I am aware of my mind. Exhale, I calm my mind. Begin to mindfully press palms of your hands against the floor, palms of your feet together just a little bit. We're just going to delight in this hip opener just for a moment, and then we're going to release and bring those knees up. You can knock the knees to either side of the mat just to loosen it up, get yourself a little bit more engaged in this present moment, beginning to move a little bit more quickly. And then we'll come to center. Pausing here for a moment. Finding our intention for this practice. Exhaling out any distractions. We're going to hug our shins together, forming a human ball, rocking back and forth a little bit, still noticing our breath moving in our body. And then after a nice hearty inhale, we're going to grab the backs of our thighs, and we're going to begin to rock and roll. So that just means we're just using our feet and our shins as a sort of momentum to rock along our spine a little bit, creating once again that quicker movement. We're starting to wake up. We're gripping our thighs. We're starting to move more. And when you're ready, cross your ankles, shifting onto your knees, and get into tabletop position. You might want to add a blanket here if your knees tend to get a little bit sad, staying in tabletop very long at all. All right, so we have our hands under our shoulders, our knees are under our hips, we're tucking our toes or our feet are flat. Either way, we're starting to feel really engaged here. We're noticing the texture of the mat. And as we press our fingertips into the mat, we begin to straighten our spine, just communicating with how our body is feeling, trying to become parallel with the floor beneath us. Breathing here. Start to energize this pose. Strengthen it. Find that flat back, your tailbone and the top of your head shooting in opposite directions. We're going to be a very powerful tabletop just for a moment. Inhale all of your intention into this pose. And exhale. Let everything out. Let out the distraction. Inhale, drop the belly, cow pose. Lift the tailbone, stretch out the neck. Look over either shoulder, waggle your hips a little bit. Exhale, curving the other way, cat pose. Letting your head fall. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Stretching the spine apart, stretching the ribs apart. Notice your armpits. Notice your ribs. Try to create a little bit of expansion here. Exhale. Shooting air out. Letting it all out, curving the other way. Make yourself a cave. And we're coming back to a neutral tabletop. Extending our left arm and extending our right leg. We're going to inhale straight as an arrow. And on the exhale, bring our elbow to our knee underneath us. Inhale straight, spreading apart. Exhale. Curl under yourself. Gently stretching back one more time. And then coming back to tabletop. Lifting the left leg, stretching forward the right arm. We're going to inhale totally straight, finding that beautiful tabletop again. We're pressing against the floor. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, stretching out. Exhale, everything out, elbow to knee, curving around, still pressing into the mat with your other limbs. And gently unraveling, stretching out one more time before placing your shin and hand back to the floor. We'll go through one more cow and cat at your own leisure. Before coming to your fingertips and moving toward your knees at the back of the mat. We're going to stretch up on our knees, just straight up in this sort of gentle camel pose. So we're just waking up here. The shoulders are over our knees. Our hips are open. The tops of our thighs are open. We're rolling our shoulders back. We're lifting our arms up. We're just in mountain pose, but on our knees. Noticing how the shins press against the floor. We're tucking our toes if we need a little more balance. Our arms are up in the air. We've exhaled the shoulders down, away from the ears a little bit. We're feeling strong and confident. Totally present. Chest and hips are out a little bit. We're just beaming on our front half. Inhale up. Exhale. Bring those hands behind your back, gently pressing against your lower back, or clasping the hands behind you, or just letting them be at your hips. Either way, we're keeping this movement extremely gentle. We're just pressing our hips a little bit more forward, just delighting in this gentle hip and chest opener. Rolling our shoulders back, finding a moment of intention here. Before releasing, lifting those arms up again, and on the exhale, bringing them gently back down to the ground. Walking your hands out in front of you, we're going to come to a nice puppy pose. Hips are over ankles. We're just stretching out like a cat. Clawing our fingertips into the ground or the mat to open up our shoulders and our chest a little bit. Resting our forehead on the mat for a moment. Before walking back to our knees, we're going to do gate pose real quick. So that means twisting your right shin until it's perpendicular to where it was, lifting up that left leg, and stretching it out. So just about your left heel lines up with your right knee. We're going to inhale up again Our hips are out, our shoulders are down. We're just feeling stretched out and confident. We're pressing the sole of our foot into the floor. Alternatively, you can open up the hip a little bit more here by twisting onto your heel. Whichever one feels good for right now, go with that. We're going to inhale up, lifting up our arms, and on the exhale, stretching on over that left leg, focusing on spinning open the right side of our body, opening up our hips, keeping everything elevated. We're reaching over to the left side. We're opening up. Our legs are open. Inhale, back center. Both hands in the air. We're going to let our right hand fall as though we were in tabletop. And just allow for a gentle hip stretch here. Option to raise that left leg. Just for a little bit more fun, a little bit of a hip intensive happening here. Either way, we're breathing into our hip. One inhale and one exhale. Coming back to our tabletop gently. Moving through a cat-cow if you like. I generally like to keep it all warm and loosey-goosey. We're going to twist that left shin now, perpendicular to where it was, and gently stretch out that right leg behind us, or to our side, roughly lining up the foot and the knee, tucking our left toe, if that helps with balance a little bit. But we're just sidling up here again, keeping our left hip over our left knee, but opening up that right hip a little bit. You can come to your heel if you like, or just focus on pressing the sole of your foot against the floor. We're lifting up our arms, stretching open. And on an exhale, stretch over to the right, over your right leg. Spiraling open your ribs, your side body. We're opening up our hips here. We're feeling very confident, very open. And we're stretching. This is a reaching, opening pose. Inhale, center. Exhale, plant that left hand. And you can just stretch up from here. Just feeling that nice hip stretch. You can press into your palm, lift that back leg. You're sort of a kneeling half moon situation. Either way, we are going to come back to a tabletop. Moving through a final round of cat-cow. I'm sorry, this is the last time, I promise. Coming to a neutral tabletop. We're going to move those hands 6 inches in front of us, tuck our toes, and lift our hips up. First downward dog of the day. So settle into it. Pedal it out. Notice the soles of your feet moving along the floor. Notice the edges of your fingers. Try and press them into the mat. Make your hands energetic. Make the soles of your feet energetic. You're not putting weight into them, but they are lifting you up here. Letting your head fall heavy. We're going to inhale up here. And exhale, travel to the top of your mat for forward fold. Or ragdoll, rather. We're just starting out with a ragdoll, bending our knees, grabbing either elbow, and just letting our back body open up a little bit. You can straighten one leg and then the other. Just allowing our hamstrings to open, focusing on the back of our legs, the stretch happening here, and how much we can emphasize that by lifting our toes, kind of stabilizing ourselves to stretch just a little bit more. If you were in ragdoll, release your hands. We're going to come to a halfway lift on the inhale, pressing against our shins or the floor to roll our shoulders back. Giving a little bit of space to our spine here. Still lifting the toes, then releasing them gently. Making sure we have a good foundation. One last inhale, halfway lift here. Exhale, fold. Bending the left leg, straightening the right. We'll plant that left hand in between our feet and lift up the right arm. Exhale, center. Bend in the right leg. Stretch in the left leg. We're going to lift up that left arm. And exhale, center. Pedaling it out. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hinge a little deeper, fold. Give a little bounce to your knees. We're going to rise slowly, energetically to mountain pose. Fingers stretching apart. Exhale, hands to heart center. Elbows out, shoulders down, gaze soft. We're going to look down at our feet, move the feet together. If you're more comfortable with that, we're going to go into chair pose very briefly. Inhale the head up. Back as straight as you can make it. Exhale. We're going to sit down in our imaginary chair, keeping our torso light, noticing our palms pressing against each other, and how if we engage in that palm interaction, we can take away some of the distraction of the heat of this pose. We're breathing, we're lifting our toes. Take one pure inhale here, perfectly in this moment, into this pose. Exhale into this pose. Inhale everything up. And exhale, hips up, straighten your legs, forward fold. Moving the feet hips distance apart if they weren't already. So we're going to inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Letting that head fall. Inhale, rising up, mountain pose. As our arms stretch up, we're going to lift up our right leg, keeping it at roughly a 90-degree angle. We're at first just going to find our balance here, shifting our hips, keeping them level as though we were standing normally. Just finding a sense of balance, lifting the toes of the left foot, finding the four corners of that foot. I'm going to inhale up here, keeping the gaze soft, keeping the body straight. And exhale, kick that right leg behind you, stepping that foot back. Briefly, we're going to come into a crescent lunge just for a moment before setting that foot on setting that right knee on the floor, untucking the knee, untucking the foot, and lifting up into a kneeling crescent lunge. Moving the front foot so that your knee does not go over your ankle. Finding the positioning that works for you. Keeping the shoulders over the hips. Opening up here. And on the exhale, we're going to bring our fingertips to the floor, straightening that front leg into a half splits. Getting a nice hamstring stretch here. And on the inhale, pressing into the sole of your foot, raising your arms, crescent lunge. Exhale, one more, half splits. Breathing into the backs of your legs, pointing the toe, separating the toes. Before inching forward again. Lifting the arms. Tucking that back foot, lifting the knee, and just coming to a basic crescent lunge here. We want the back of our knee to be lifting toward the ceiling. We want our legs to be very strong. We want our shoulders to be over our hips, and our arms are just shooting up. And we are feeling very strong and powerful here. Inhale the crown of the head up. Exhale, hinge at a 45-degree angle. Bring your palms to heart center. We're going to go for a little bit of a prayer twist here. So shift your torso and plant that right elbow on the outside of your left knee. Finding your own point of stability here. You can always set your knee on the ground if that's more comfortable for you, so you can focus on that back twist. But we're going to breathe. We're going to be here for a moment, focusing on that elbow to knee connection. Noticing how if we press our arms against our legs, we can create this kind of friction that stabilizes us in this pose. One inhale here. And then on the exhale, we're gonna move to chair pose at the front of our mats. All right, so those of you who had your knee down, tuck the toes, lift up very briefly, give yourself some momentum. We're gonna inhale, prepare, exhale, prayer twist, chair pose. Just for a moment, congratulate yourself. Inhale, center, exhale, fold. Letting everything go, bending one leg and then the other. Letting your head fall, letting your hands be heavy. We're gonna inhale, halfway lift, rolling back, straightening up. Exhale, fold. Bending the knees a little bit, we will rise up, mountain pose, stretching upward, lifting up that left leg, keeping it at a 90-degree angle. We're gonna shift our hips so that we have that sense of normalcy and balance here in this abnormal pose. And our arms are lifting up, shoulders over hips. We're taking a moment here to find that presence of mind purely in the moment. And we will inhale that intention up. Exhale, slowly watch yourself shoot that leg back. Plant the foot, prepare for crescent lunge. At first, keeping it a basic crescent lunge, just straightening out that back leg, getting this burn going on here, and then gently setting that knee down and finding our kneeling crescent lunge pose. So we don't want our knee to be over our ankle. Adjust your front foot so that that is not happening. We want our shoulders over our hips. We're reaching up, we're pressing our back shin into the floor. We're feeling totally confident. Inhale, tension upward. Exhale, straighten that front leg, bend, bow forward, half splits. Getting that nice hamstring stretch here. Delight in it. Inhale, pressing into the sole of the foot, lifting up the arms, kneeling crescent lunge. And exhale, half splits, straightening that front leg, pointing the toes, spreading the toes, letting yourself fall over and into this pose. Send some oxygen to the back of your legs before pressing into the sole of your foot again. From here, we are going to lift up into crescent lunge. You can keep your knee on the floor if that feels a little more comfortable. Either way, though, we're going to settle into this pose just a little bit, finding our footing here, being totally conscious of all of our limbs, how they're pressing into the floor. We're going to inhale our intention here and exhale, hinging at a 45-degree angle. We're going to bring our hands to heart center and prepare for prayer on the other side, revolved crescent rather. So your knee can still be on the floor at this point if that's easier for you. We're pressing our elbow into our knee, pressing both feet into the floor, and we're twisting over to the other side, noticing how our elbow and knee can engage us in this pose, can kind of mitigate some of the tension, some of the heat. Let it be your point of stability. Woo. Okay. All right, we're good. If your knee is down, lift that leg, pulsing for a little bit, preparing. Inhale all of your intention, pressing your palms together. Exhale. Chair pose at the front of your mat. Inhaling, arms up in center, pausing for a moment. Exhale. Straightening the legs, letting the head be heavy. We're actually going to take a moment here in gorilla pose. So the feet are hip distance apart. We are grabbing with our peace fingers, our toes. We're just stepping on our feet entirely. Either way, we're not locking our knees. We're laying our top half be heavy. We're stretching out that top half. No matter how much we have to bend our knees, we're like hinging at the elbows a little bit to like crank our top half forward, our hips ever higher in the air. We're just letting our head be very, very heavy. Notice the inhale and how it fills you. Delight in the exhale leaving your body. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. We're going to plant our hands and slowly walk back to, just very gingerly, to downward facing dog. Pedaling it out again, finding our center. And all together, we're going to move through a very simple vinyasa, just to kind of align our breath with our practice, get everything in that flow space again. So we're going to inhale our hips up, exhale, travel to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, fold. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, plant the hands, move back to plank pose. Pausing here for a moment, shoulders over wrists. We're going to inhale. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, pressing into the tops of your feet, lifting those kneecaps, straightening the arms, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Pedaling it out. Forgiving yourself. Finding this moment again, here in the present. Focus on your breath. We're going to inhale the hips up. Exhale, travel to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rising up, mountain pose. Exhale, let it all fall down. Plant those hands, move to plank. Inhale up into a nice plank. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, lifting up your chest, your collarbones. Exhale, downward dog. Lifting those hips, letting the head fall. Breathing, forgiving yourself. We're going to inhale those hips up. Exhale, coming to child's pose for a moment, letting those knees fall mat distance apart, bringing those big toes to touch. We're going to push our hips back. Let our head rest for a moment. Widening our knees for a bit of an extended kind of hip flexing experience. Letting our hips settle for a moment. Pressing our palms into the floor. Breathing in intention. Filling ourselves with oxygen. Exhale. Let it all go. Inhale. Make it a little bit deeper, a little bit longer. Pausing at the top before exhaling. Releasing entirely into the floor. On an inhale, we're going to come up onto our hands, moving our knees to center. We're going to move those hips over the knees, coming into a gentle puppy just for a moment. Stretching the arms in front of us, letting our head rest. And then we're going to come to our forearms, tucking the toes, shifting the hips so that we are in a forearm plank just for a moment. Shoulders are over the elbows. We're lifting our hips. We're pulsing on our toes a little bit. We're going to inhale here. Exhale, lower to the floor gently. Releasing the arms, releasing the toes, releasing the hands. We're going to let our hands come under our shoulders, preparing for baby cobra. So we're rolling our shoulders back. Our legs are together and we're pressing the tops of our feet into the floor, keeping weight out of our hands, out of our arms as much as possible. Just allowing a gentle sort of balance here. So preparing your stomach first to lift up your shoulders, your collarbone, your torso. We're going to inhale, preparing for this, rolling the shoulders back, preparing the body for a cobra. And on the exhale, just lift up those shoulders, the head, the collarbones, looking in front of you, allowing the back of the neck to lengthen a little bit here. Inhaling into this back stretch. Exhale. Come back to the floor. Rolling the shoulders back. We're going to prepare again on the inhale. And the exhale. Rolling upward. Breathing into this heat we're creating here. You can let your hands hover for a little bit more intensity. Exhale. Let it all melt onto the floor. We're going to come up to our elbows. Elbows under the shoulders. Fingers spread out quite wide, giving yourself a sense of real stability here. You want to claw into the mat. Roll your shoulders back and come into Sphinx pose. Straightening the top of your head. Rolling the shoulders back. Opening up in the chest. Spiraling those ribs outward. Breathing into the stretch. And exhale. Relax out of it a little bit. You can bring your feet up and let the knees, the feet rock from side to side, opening up your lower back. We're going to bring our hands together in center and prepare to come back into forearm plank. So you can keep your hands on the ground if that gives you a little bit more stability here. Either way, we're tucking our toes, we're preparing. And exhale, lifting those hips up. We're inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to roll onto the right side of our feet, coming to a side plank. You can lift that top leg if you like. Exhale, center, coming back to forearm plank. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, roll onto the left side of your left foot. Lifting up that top arm, lifting the leg if you like, side plank. Exhale, back to center. Coming up onto the hands where you were on your elbows. We're coming to a nice, clean, gentle plank here. Inhaling intention up. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, lifting those hips. Breathing here. You're re-engaged. The soles of your feet are pressing against the floor. The sides of your fingers are pressing against the floor. We're going to inhale our right leg straight behind us. Exhale, planting it in between the hands. We're going to raise up to a crescent lunge. Adjusting as need be. Shoulders are over the hips. We're stretching out our back leg. We're feeling strong. Inhale the hands up. Exhale, warrior two. Flipping that back foot so we're on the knife edge of our foot. We're focusing on spiraling our hips outward, stretching our hands apart. Shoulders are over hips. We're pressing into both feet as evenly as we can. Finding a moment here. On an inhale, flipping that front hand. We're going to reverse our warrior, curving toward the back of our mats. Breathing into this gentle side bend happening here. And then straightening that front leg here. Allowing for a little bit more reach toward the back of your mat. Inhale everything back up carefully, moving with your abdomen. We are going to, from here, be needing our handy dandy blocks. or some sort of balancing help if you so wish. But from here, we're going to give a little bounce to our front leg. And we're just going to bounce our back foot up until it's about 3 or 4 feet apart from our front foot. We're going to align the heels of our feet so that they're roughly on the same line. We're going to tilt that back foot at a 45-degree angle, angling our hips and shoulders toward the front of the mat. We're moving to pyramid pose here, keeping our blocks toward our front foot. We're going to hinge at the hips, not letting the shoulders fall until the last moment. Keeping our back flat, keeping it strong. We're going to grab onto the blocks on either side of our feet, or grab onto our leg, let our fingertips and our hands rest on the floor. We're focusing on shifting those hips to being level. We're hinging at the hips. We're breathing into our back. And on an inhale, plant that left hand beside the right foot or plant it on a block. We're going to reverse, we're going to twist this pyramid over a little bit here. So we're pressing into the mat and we're just opening up, lifting that right arm, allowing both legs to still be firmly rooted into the floor. We're breathing into this twist, stretching apart, pressing into the floor, lifting up into the heavens, looking up or down, whichever suits you, before coming back to our basic pyramid. From here, we're going to be moving to half moon. So stretch that front leg a little bit. Set a block ahead of you for a little bit of balance help. But we're going to press into this right foot and then begin to straighten it as we shift our weight to this leg, using some sort of balance here or relying on our own sense of balance. We're going to begin to shift forward and stack our hips. So we're lifting that back leg slowly, and we're just beginning to shift the hips from here, twisting that foot, that back foot perpendicular to where it was, so that we can begin to open up the hips and become this strange plus sign happening here. Stretching that left leg and the crown of the head apart. And we're spiraling those hips open so that they're totally stacked. And it might be rough. You might feel silly. That's sort of the point, isn't it? So we're just breathing into this. We're lifting the toes of our right foot. For a moment, just allow your breath to infuse and strengthen this pose. Breathing into your limbs evenly. We're going to take one more inhale here. Exhale. Gently bring that leg down. We're just going to come to a forward fold just for a moment. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Gingerly walk yourself back to downward dog. Breathing, lifting the hips. We're going to do this one more time on the other side. Lifting up that left leg, stretching it out. Exhale, bend the knee, planting that foot in between the hands. We're going to lift up to a crescent lunge. Exhale, flip that back foot, opening up to a warrior two. Relying on that knife edge of the back foot. Find your stability here. Spiral open those hips. On the inhale, we're flipping our front palm. Exhale, reverse warrior. Lifting that front arm, curving toward the back of the mat. Not letting our right side fall and be heavy, but engaging it in this twist. And then straightening that front leg just to allow for a little bit more reach here. Exhale, gingerly swing the arm up, coming back. Catch your breath, get a little bit of water. We are going to come to pyramid pose from here. Sorry, it just exited out for some reason. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we're bending that front leg. We're hopping that back foot until it's about 3 or 4 feet behind that front foot. So sorry. We're aligning the heels. We're bringing that back foot to a 45-degree angle. We're shifting our hips and shoulders. We're looking for those blocks, making sure they're nearby. We're going to inhale our arms up. Exhale. Extend them forward, but focus on the hips. We want to just hinge at the hips here before letting our arms fall to the floor, to either side of our foot, or to the blocks here. We're focusing on straightening that back leg, straightening the front leg, and allowing for a little bit more of a bend from your backside, from your hips. Breathing into that lower back. We're going to plant the right hands just beside that left foot. You can use a volume if that helps make it a less intense stretch. We're going to inhale our intention. Find ourselves in this pose again. And on the exhale, pressing into the mat, opening up to the other side, we're going to gently twist. Reaching up for the sky, pressing into our feet still, ignoring my armpit stings. And we're just reaching. Hands are engaged in opposite activities here. We are delighting in that, noticing it, pressing against the floor. Exhale, center. Shifting the hips, bending that front leg a little bit, preparing. We're going to move to half moon on the other side. So you want your block or balance assisting device in front of your left foot, maybe about 6 inches. And you're just going to prepare, finding the 4 corners of that front foot. Moving on those back toes until you feel like you have enough momentum, practiced, balanced over that front leg, and you can begin to straighten that front leg, stacking the hips, and slowly opening up, lifting that top arm, lifting the back leg. It's okay if you fall at any point, you really ought to. This is a very difficult pose, you know. Forgive yourself, be in this moment. All of your limbs stretching in opposite directions. Breathe, forgive yourself. Allow each inhale to bring you back to this moment. One more inhale here. Exhale. Letting your foot fall back to the ground. You're going to find a gentle forward fold here. Letting the head fall. Allowing the lower back to open up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale. Find yourself in a seated position on the floor. Coming to butterfly pose. We're bringing the soles of the feet together. We're letting the knees splay apart gently. And we're grabbing the feet, massaging the soles of the feet, opening up the soles of the feet like a strange book. We're going to inhale, pressing against our shins or our ankles or our feet, rolling the shoulders back, moving into a sort of halfway lift here. Inhale up, a little bit of length to the spine. Exhale, bend at the hips as much as you feel is right for this pose. We're gonna pause here, breathing into this hip stretch, letting our head fall, letting our body rest wherever it wants to. We're not pushing anything here. We're making this a gentle hip stretch where we recenter ourselves. Inhale, notice that inhale. Exhale all of your distractions away. Inhale up, letting your gaze be soft. Exhale, gently as though these legs weren't yours. We're going to move those knees together. And we're going to just very mindfully just set our legs in front of us, just into a simple seated forward fold. Just moving the legs with intention, with gratefulness, gratitude. We're stretching out those legs, shifting our hips. Instead of reaching for those feet right away, we're going to roll the shoulders back, letting hands rest on the floor beside us, or as close to on the floor as we can. We're going to focus on straightening the back, moving those shoulders back, engaging the abdomen, straightening everything. Inhale the crown of the head toward the sky. Exhale, hinging at the hips, reaching for your feet. We're going to delight in this fold for just one moment. Inhale, pressing against your shins or your thighs to roll the shoulders back. Find your halfway lift here. Exhale, deepen that fold, letting the head fall. On an inhale, we're going to slowly walk our hands back to that sort of staff pose. But instead of solidifying that pose, though our shoulders are over our hips and whatnot, we're feeling good and straight. We're going to engage our feet, our legs a little bit, our stomach muscles, slowly lifting our legs until the soles of the feet are on the floor, knees pointing up toward the ceiling. Rolling our shoulders back, engaging our stomach, perhaps grabbing the backs of our legs. We're slowly rolling ourselves down onto the mat, vertebra by vertebra, letting everything go. Knocking your knees from either side of the mat, tucking your shoulders in. And then letting yourself find your center again. Bringing those feet in, hip distance apart. We're going to start to engage our stomach muscles just to press our lower back in a little bit more. Maybe you're resting on your tailbone a bit. We're just going to focus on that slight shift where we're tucking in a little bit, pressing ourselves against the mat. Letting it be a little bit gentle though. Letting the rest of our body parts relax. We're going to inhale, totally relaxed. Exhale, totally relaxed. Inhale, tuck the shoulders in, press your lower back against the floor. And then we're going to press up and into the soles of our feet, into our palms, bridge pose. Letting our hips shine up toward the ceiling. Engaging our legs, pressing into the floor to give ourselves a little bit more lift. Inhale up. Exhale, let your body fall vertebra by vertebra. Inhale, relaxed. Exhale, relaxed. Letting your knees rock to either side. We're going to inhale those knees up, curving ourselves into a little ball, rocking left and right. Inhale, curl into it a little bit more. Exhale, let your knees fall to the left side of your mat. Stretching your right arm over to the other side of your mat. For a gentle supine twist. Allowing your arms to come to a T. We're going to press on our palms to lift our knees up again until they're over our hips. Giving a little bit of love to our back, rocking side to side gently. We're going to hug our shins in again. Squeeze ourselves out tight. And exhale, unraveling a bit. Letting those knees fall to the right side of the mat. Perhaps holding those knees, those legs down just a little bit, just gently as we stretch over to the left side. Stretching that arm out. Allowing your breath to travel with your attention to your back parts. Bringing your arms to a T, pressing into the floor. Mindfully bringing our legs back to center. Coming into a happy baby. Letting those knees fall to either side of the body. Grabbing the inside or the outside of the soles of the feet. We're going to rock from side to side here. Keeping it lazy and light and gentle. Maybe we're pressing our lower back into the floor a little bit by pressing into our feet. Inhaling those shins in, curving into a ball one more time. We're going to stretch out, taking whatever stretches or poses we need before settling into our corpse pose. Noticing the echoes of activity, of tension in your body. Letting the breath deepen. Releasing any tension. Allowing your face to soften, your gaze to soften, the edges of your body, all to soften, relax a little bit more. Focus only on your breath. Allow all the parts of your body to become less important. Imagine you are only your breath. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I follow my in-breath all the way through. Breathing out, I follow my out-breath all the way through. Breathing in, my breath becomes deeper. Breathing out, my breath becomes slower. Breathing in, I relax my whole body. Breathing out, I smile to every cell in my body. I calm my mind with every breath. Begin movement at your fingers and toes, and your wrists, and your ankles. And lazily beginning to move your limbs, very lazily. Be very reluctant to wake back up. Letting your eyes close, we're just intuitively and very gently stretching our body back awake, opening up. Inhale into a full body stretch here, fingertips and toes pointing in other directions, stretching your body open and awake. Smiling. On the exhale, we're going to roll into the fetal position on our right or left side, resting our head on our biceps, curling up. If you're not smiling already, I invite you to smile. It just naturally brightens you up a little bit, just to engage the smile muscles. Letting your body relax here, still feeling lovely and warm and tired. We'll inhale all sorts of good intention into our bodies. And on the exhale, as we find that clarity and peace of mind again, we're pressing ourselves back up into a comfortable seated position, whatever that means to you right now. Settling the bones in a little bit, allowing the gaze to still be soft. We're still feeling our bodies here. Letting the breath be slow and intentional. Exhale everything out. And together we're going to inhale, lifting our arms up. Exhale. Bringing hands to heart center. Rubbing the palms together, creating a little bit of heat, a little bit of energy. A nice little bit of energy and excitement for this practice that you did. It was so swell. And then letting the hands ghost apart, letting them be still, but feeling that vibration. And allowing that to be exciting, a little bit of energy for right now. We'll bring our hands together, bring our thumb knuckles to our third eye. Inhaling the crown of our head up. And exhaling, bowing just a little bit elegantly. I wish you all the very best in the rest of your day. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me in this fine practice. You can find me next week at 7 p.m. Feel free to let me know any poses or any intentions you would like to see from me. There's going to be yoga at 11 a.m. tomorrow, and there are all sorts of fun activities happening elsewhere with Adventure Rock at 7 p.m. on Fridays, which is great. So check that out on the Facebook page, Instagram, the website, what have you. I thank you all for coming here today and doing some yoga with me. I think that's all I have. So I wish you well and have a lovely, safe evening. Bye.